Mike Owens here. Today I'm joined by Steve Erceg, who at UFC 301 fights for the UFC Flyweight Title versus Alexandre Pantoja. Steve, great to sit down and chat. How are things with you today?
Yeah, I'm going very well. Thanks for having me.
I suppose the first question, the best place for us to start is how does it feel for a number of weeks' time to be fighting for the UFC title?
Yeah, it's obviously nerve-wracking, exciting. There's a lot of emotions that go along with it, but yeah, I'm ready to go. Pushing hard in training and can't wait for the opportunity.
If the Steve of today told the Steve of a year ago he would be headlining 301 versus Pantoja, what would Steve of last year have said?
I probably said that's about right. I didn't expect it to be this fast, but if I told myself the way it happened, I'd probably believe me.
What was your first reaction or your first emotion to the offer? Who gave you the offer and what was the initial reaction?
So my manager, Courtney, she called me, and my first reaction was to laugh, honestly, for a few reasons. The first reason was I was eating KFC at the time, and so I was wondering whether I should put the KFC away. Should I finish eating? What I should do? Obviously, I have to manage my weight now. And then number two was that my dad actually said he thinks that I might get the Pantoja fight next, and I called him an idiot. And so when it came through, I thought, I owe him an apology.
What I like to do is I'd like to kind of I've got a timeline here of the last few months. So what I'd like to do is just go through
Yep.
each individual event and just get your thoughts. So I suppose the best place for us to start is the last flyweight title, UFC 296. Alexandre Pantoja defeats Brandon Royval, I think 4 rounds to 1. What was your reaction to that fight? And at that moment in time, who did you think was next for the world title shot?
I mean, I thought Pantoja looked really good. His grappling was on full display. He's got an amazing heart, so he's always looking like he's always walking forward.
Mm,
He looks tired early, but he just finds a way to keep going the
mm.
whole time and keep outworking his opponent. So I was very impressed with him. And who did I think was next? I thought Albazi would be next. Obviously, he is injured at the moment, so he
Mm.
can't take any fights. So I think that's one of the reasons why I got the opportunity.
Yeah. And then obviously fast forward the 24th of Feb, Royval comes back and defeats Brandon Moreno in Mexico City. Did you see either of those as a potential title, as the next potential title challenger? Because as we're aware, both had obviously come off recent losses to Montoya.
I was really hoping that neither of them would get to fight for the title again, just because exactly as you said, Moreno, if he won, he'd already fought Pantoja very recently and has fought him three times
Mm.
in the past. Royval was Pantoja's last defense and had fought him again before that as well,
Mm.
so that he'd already lost twice. And not only me, a lot of fans don't like to see the same fights playing over and over and over again. We want to see um, parity, I guess, in the division. We want to see different matchups, different things happening, progression.
Yeah.
So I was hoping neither of them would happen, but there were a lot more people I thought would have the opportunity.
And then the following week, you obviously come off the biggest win of your career against Matt Schnell, fantastic knockout. The two fights later, Muhammad Mokaev gets the unanimous decision win over Alex Perez. Did you feel like at that moment in time, Mokaev may have leapfrogged you for the title shot, or did you feel like with the statement that you put on against Schnell that it was
I
yours?
yes, sorry. I thought it wasn't a case that he leapfrogged me. I thought just the fact that he was ranked higher,
Mm.
a lot of hype around him. And although you don't like to think that this does make a difference, but he has a big following on Instagram and Twitter and all that
Mm.
sort of stuff. So, um, I just thought that even with his performance, I thought he'd still get the title shot.
100%. So I guess with that being said, as we've run through it, in your mind, why do you feel like the UFC have gone with you? I mean, as you mentioned there with Makayev, there's obviously the Instagram follower, he's slightly ranked, slightly higher ranked. There's obviously Brandon Royval, who I think technically is the number one contender. So just in your mind, why do you feel like the UFC went with you in this occasion?
I think the UFC are looking at it in a similar way that I and a lot of fans are looking at it, which is Um, the two of the clear guys, Moreno and Royval, just fought for the title and lost. Um, Albazi and a few other people are injured. There's others that have missed weight or haven't fought in a while, and so it really was between me and Makayev. Makayev, he's very young, and I don't think people would have been super excited about seeing him fight for the title after his last performance.
Yeah.
So I think they were just trying to keep it interesting. I have been in the UFC not for very long, but my first fight was against a top 10 guy. Then I fought in New York against it was supposed to be Matt Schnell, but then I fought on a late replacement against Costa. And then I finally got the Matt Schnell fight, who again top 10 ranked, and then beat him emphatically. So I think they just liked the storyline there, and obviously I'm willing to take on anybody and find out who the toughest guy is. So that's why I think they went with me.
100%. What is your impression of Alexandre Pantoja as a champion? I think he's on that 5-fight win streak. He's beat a couple of guys on the way up in that top 10 range. Just your impression of the challenge that you'll face on forthcoming.
Well, I like the way he carries himself. He's carried himself um, like respectfully. He has a great heart, super tough, obviously great grappling. He looks very strong. I just think there's a lot of holes, especially on the feet. He gets away with them because he is so tough. But I don't think that's going to work against me. I just think I'm going to pick him apart. And that being said, it's not like I'm going to be able to stay on the outside the whole time. I fully expect him to find ways to get to the grapple and that sort of thing. But I'm no chump there. I'm also a black belt.
Mm.
Before people started calling me a knockout guy because I had one knockout, I was a grappler in the UFC. So I'm fully confident in my skills on the ground and in the grapple. And I think I separate myself with the striking technique.
Can we talk about that? And when I say this, I mean this with the greatest of respect. I want this to come across as a compliment. But I basically spend my life watching MMA, and there's certain guys who, when I watch, I can tell they're doing something, but I can't see what they're doing. And you fit into that category, and I mean that as a compliment.
Okay. Yep.
Alexander Volkanovski is another one where I can see he's doing something, but I just can't quite pinpoint what it is. So I'd like to know on the world stage, how complex is your striking game? What are the key patterns to it, if you will?
Um, I wouldn't call myself super complex. It's just um, I, although it looks like I don't have any head movement, it looks like I'm not super defensively sound. I am actually harder to hit than it that is perceived.
Mm,
I hold distance well. I'm feinting. I'm giving people different looks when there's no strikes going on, and I'm good at countering as people do overextend and that sort of thing. So I think that's deceptive in itself. Obviously, I can improve in a lot of different areas. Like my hands could be higher. I could move my head a little bit more. There are these things that
mm.
obviously I should be doing and I can be doing. I'm working on, but I am harder to hit than it seems. And then just the way I time my jab and work off my jab and the way I put punches together, um, I feel like I almost lull people
Yeah.
into thinking that I'm not there, and then all of a sudden I crack them with a shot. I crack them with a shot, and that gets them frustrated. It gets them overreaching, and that's when I start doing my best work.
If you had to give me kind of one word or one attribute that you feel like is your strongest, which one, what would that be?
I think my jiu-jitsu is the strongest out of like if I was going over overall skill. I think my jiu-jitsu game is better than the rest of my game. Um, yeah. Other than that, I guess just my brain. I don't think necessarily everybody's thinking in there or not to a very deep level. Whereas I'm really trying to improve everything, but also think about how everything applies together and that sort of thing. And then obviously specifically in the fight, what changes I need to make that all that all that good stuff.
100%. Obviously, your first UFC title shot, we've mentioned the kind of unique challenge of Alexandre Pantoja. In what way does preparation change, or does preparation evolve for this challenge as opposed to the to your previous camps?
Nothing really changed a lot. Obviously, I'm doing more rounds now instead of practicing for 3 fives. I'm training for 5 fives, which is a big toll.
Mm,
I think that's why you see a lot of champions not necessarily fight as often. There is a pressure associated with being a champion, but those camps are a lot harder than a 3x5
mm.
camp. Just the nature of the rounds, and then um, just obviously I'm looking at specific things that he does well, and then either ways to counter that or ways to keep it where I want to keep it. But yeah, I'm always trying to improve everything as a whole. So nothing ever changes drastically.
I think I checked your record before we jumped on. I don't believe you fought a 5 rounder in the pros. Have you ever fought 5 rounds amateur?
No, I've been scheduled for 5, but I've never actually gone 5.
Yeah, 100%. I did see a quote from a recent interview from Pantoja who called you lucky to be getting the world title shot. Just your
Yeah,
reaction, just your reaction to the champ's thoughts on that.
I am lucky. I mean, how often do you get a guy that's number 10 ranked getting a shot at the title? So I understand that it's like sort of right place at the right time. I'll take some luck sometimes.
Good way to think. I suppose about right place, right time. It might feel like the wrong place and the wrong time when you step into that arena on Rio de Janeiro. They like the November hair chants to some of their opposition opponents. What do you anticipate the Brazil fans to be in terms of their reaction to you?
Um, I think in the arena they won't like me very much, as you alluded to. They'll be saying, yeah, "Move on my hair" or however you say it, and um, booing me quite a lot. But I'm excited for that. It's not the first time I've gone into enemy territory. It's going to be the biggest crowd that I've
Mm.
been to where they don't like me this much. But I have been a part of some fights where everybody in the crowd was booing me, and I don't know. There's just an energy about it. It's exciting. You feed off that, and then you go in there and you want to get into a fist fight. So it's good fun.
I did want to ask about that because I did again. I checked your record. I could see most of your fights went on in Perth, but obviously that doesn't necessarily mean that your every single one of your fights was on home ground. So talk to me about those experiences fighting on enemy territory and what that was like.
Yes. So one of them was when I first won the Australian title on Eternal. I fought in Queensland, and I was fighting a guy called Shannon Ross, who also did in the
Mm,
UFC or was in the UFC. And there was a very pro Shannon Ross crowd. So that was the first time I'd experienced anything like that. And then I kind of lost my mind after the fight and started telling everybody to shut the F up. And I don't know, I just had some fun with it. And the second time, even though I was on home soil in Perth, it was a very uh, the fans for my opponent, in this case Cody Haddon, were very vocal, and yeah, that was a fun one. So my fans were obviously cheering for me, but the boos and the abuse yelled from the Cody fans was quite fun. Like to the point where it actually did get me at one point because the fight had just
mm,
started. I initiated a grapple, and then I heard people telling me to effing die and blah blah. Man, we just started. Relax.
mm.
Yeah, so that was fun. So it's not the first time I've had that anyway.
You train with Jack Della, is that right? Or do you have done some training
Yeah,
with Jack Della?
yeah, a couple times a
So
week.
a couple of times a week. So obviously there might be some foreshadowing here with your friend Jack Della just coming off his win over Pantoja's friend Gilbert Burns. Just your reaction to that fight over obviously Jack's biggest win over former title challenger.
Yeah, I think um, nobody finishes Gilbert Burns. I think the last person did was Usman, right? And he
Yeah.
was the welterweight champion, and Jack did it with a broken arm, and yeah, so I, he's a stud. Burns is you don't nobody dislikes Gilbert Burns, I don't think
Mm,
so. He's also a stud, but yeah, the fact that Jack could finish somebody to that level is amazing, and just shows you what Perth can do.
yeah. We'll talk about turning the conversation back to this fight at hand. May the 5th you wake up, you're world champion, or you get that belt around your waist in the arena. How do you anticipate that feeling to be?
I really don't know. I've seen people react differently. Some people cry, some people obviously act really excited. I really have no idea how I'm gonna react. I've thought about it a lot, and yeah, we'll see. It's one of life's mysteries. I think we'll get to find out soon enough.
What obviously we're not. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but what can fans expect from the Steve Erceg era in terms of what type of champion would you like to be? And is there maybe a role model from a previous champion in history that you look at and go, I would like to conduct myself in a similar way to the way they conducted themselves as champion?
I think the big thing is um, I like the champions that defend against the best guys. I don't like the ones that, I don't want to fight him because he's not enough of a draw, blah, blah, blah. I don't care about that. I want to fight the guy who they think they're tougher than me. We're going to find out. So they're like Alex Volkanovski did exactly that. There's been lots of champions that have done that in the past. And there is some degree of, I want to be a positive role model for people. I don't want to be having kids at the gym start swearing all the time because they saw me swearing in an interview and all that. I want to be something that, yeah, they and their parents can go, look, that's how you should conduct yourself. So that's what I'm trying to do, and I'll continue to do.
Who do you feel like at this moment in time, post Pantoja title victory, would be the number one contender for you? I mean, the division opens up in terms of those rematches from Pantoja go away, so it obviously opens up some more opportunities, but still pretty unclear. Who would you feel would be next in an ideal world?
Um, Makhayev's obviously a good one. I don't know. Do I want to give him one more fight first? And then
Hmm.
there's the winner of Makhayev, winner of Cape and Nicolau. That's
Hmm.
probably right up there too. And then obviously whenever Al-Bazi is ready to go, whether they want to give him another fight first or straight to a title shot, I don't know. But there are three guys, or I guess potential four guys that would be next in line.
Yeah, 100%. We'll turn the conversation back to yourself in this fight at hand. You can be as brief or as detailed with this one as you like, Steve, but I'd like to know, in an ideal world on May the 4th, what happens? What happens when you wake up in the morning to when you go to sleep at night? Give me a walkthrough of the perfect fight day.
Yeah, so obviously there's lots of different ways it could go, and I have thought about a lot of different avenues to victory and stuff, but definitely I want to show that it's not a fluke. So the ideal way would be on the outside, touch him up for a couple, maybe one or two rounds on the outside, and then yeah, either knock him out in the third or late in the second, or take him down into his expertise, which is on the ground, and then make a statement by submitting him there. I think that'd be the ideal way to get it done.
You've talked about your jiu-jitsu being the kind of your biggest strength. Would it be, is part of you want to make that statement and get the submission victory over the knockout?
Yeah, of course, but I think knockouts are a little bit more fun, like more exciting. There's something about it. It's like when you submit somebody, yeah, there's like this awesome feeling. But when you knock somebody out, there's something primal inside that goes, "Oh yeah, I'm the man."
Mm.
It's different. I don't know how to describe it, but I think I'd be still more excited with a knockout than a submission.
100%. Well, look, Steve, always great catching up with you. Really happy to see you in this position just a couple of weeks out from your first UFC title shot. Have a great and safe rest of camp and hopefully talk soon.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you having me on.